Ja, willkommen zurück zu Vampyr. Also, kurze Erklärung. Ich soll ja so ein Mittelchen herstellen, wo mir noch eine Lösung fehlt. Die habe ich gesucht und zwar jetzt nochmal in der Leichenhalle. Ich habe unten allerdings noch eine Leiche entdeckt, wo unser Doktor, zu dem ich jetzt noch nicht komme, sich bis jetzt in seinem Zimmer verbarrikadiert hat. Und die Lösung habe ich auch nicht gefunden, die mir noch zur Herstellung fehlt. Das wollte ich nur sagen. Ich muss erstmal schauen, was das alles war. Ich würde sagen, ich gehe mal zum Doc. Ja, das bedeutet, den muss ich jetzt erstmal finden. Und zwar, der war oben und unten sind auch noch ein paar kleine Geschichten. Keine Angst, ihr verpasst nichts. Das war nur jetzt diese eine Sache mit der untersuchten Leiche, die der Doc schon untersucht hatte. Ja, das wollte ich nur sagen. So. Ach, nicht jetzt. Ah, okay. Also nützt mir das doch noch gar nichts.
I cannot enter.
Ah, ich war so zuversichtlich. Ah, da kann ich gleich mal schauen, wie diese Lösung hieß, die ich hier noch finden muss. Not now, ja, das hat er mir vorhin schon erzählt. Und zwar muss ich ja finden, eine Behandlung gegen Erschöpfung. NaClO-Lösung. Eine NaClO-Lösung. Tja, wer weiß, was für ein Monster oder so das hat. Konnte ich eigentlich auch von hier draußen nur raus? Ich glaube, ich war mir da schon fast so sicher. Nein. Okay. Dann lassen wir ein paar Nebengeschichten rausfinden. Schade, dass ich habe das wahrscheinlich schon verbraucht, indem ich was anderes hergestellt habe, anstatt das, was ich jetzt brauche. Oder sollte ich mit jemand anders sprechen? Okay. Noch nicht. Erstmal suche ich die Schwester her. Die eventuell. Mal sehen.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Tell me what Dr. Tippett did. I know his mistake caused a patient to dictate your conduct concerning patients, Nurse Brannigan.
Look around you, Dr. Reed. Do you really think we can afford to lose a brilliant practitioner like Dr. Tippett's in our situation?
Das war das unten. Okay. Ich kann ihr Handeln nachvollziehen. Sie haben nicht das Recht dazu. Sie haben ein großes Risiko auf sich genommen.
Perhaps you did it with the best intentions, Nurse Brannigan, but you took a great risk. Must I remind you that a man died?
You mean you've never made a mistake? Never covered your tracks? Come on, Doctor. I wasn't born yesterday.
Untersuchung aktualisiert. Ja. Ja, das interessiert mich alles nicht mehr.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Ja. Stelle eine Behandlung gegen Erschöpfung her. Das kann ich aber nicht machen, weil ich das nicht finde, das, was ich benötige. Diese Lösung finde ich nicht und bei dem Armisten kann ich nur Waffen kaufen. Was ist das? Kleines Fläschchen. Ja, weiß ja nicht, man ist am Munkeln. Okay, ich gehe mal zu euch.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
Okay. Grund ihrer Verletzung.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Das habe ich jetzt falsch gemacht. Kann ich das nochmal?
Why lie about it?
Come on.
Reconstructive...
I don't want to wear a
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by...
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Also, da fehlen mir noch einige Fragen. Wo ist die Frau hin? Bei den Verletzungen kann ich das alles durchaus verstehen. Brandwunden im Gesicht, also das ist nichts Gutes.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it's such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Also mir fehlen hier einige Hinweise.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Ja, das Hinweise im Sinne von Briefen von Menschen, die auch was wissen könnten, tun. Ja,
Good
so.
evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Okay. Ist ein ziemlich optimistischer Arzt und irgendein Patient, wie ich das rausgehört habe, hat mit seiner Krankheit gelogen oder es ist sein Kollege hier.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Tell me, Waverley, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Ja, ich vertraue Ihrem Urteil. Sie werden für jedwege Folgen gerade stehen. Ich weiß es doch nicht. Es ist ein konservativer Ansatz.
Other people may say that's too conservative a point of view.
Conservative? And what are you going to say to Mr. Fiddick if he loses his arm because of the operation? Because that's what's going to happen if the surgery is a failure.
Oh, ich habe immer Angst, dass ich was Falsches mache. Beeinträchtige ihr Urteilsvermögen. Das habe ich alles schon gefragt, ja. Das auch, das ging ja darum.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Ja, haben Sie ein Problem über das Pembroke? Das habe ich jetzt schon bequatscht. Habe ich hier neue Hinweise? Haben Sie ein Problem mit mir? War schon persönliche Hinweis benötigt. Ich habe mir als Arzt meine Sporen verdient. So.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Das geht mich immer so komisch an. Wissen ist kein Grund, mich vor Ihren was ist unsere wichtigste Waffe?
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon, and it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative, it is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
Oh, das ist ja am längsten, wo ich am längsten quatsche.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Erinnerungen.
I don't know what you've heard about me.
I don't
Ah,
quite
das habe ich doch schon
I
gefragt.
serve-
Ah,
Be
komm,
careful
jetzt,
what
ich,
I
you
only
möchte, ich möchte jetzt mal
It
weg
is
hier.
not a-
Hallo, hallo, Schluss. Schluss jetzt.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Wir reden später, genau.
Seems to be falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing
Yes,
to give him
Doctor?
the benefit of the doubt.
Erzählen Sie mir was. Aber ich glaube, die habe ich schon alles Mögliche gefragt.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane. Thank you.
Weil hier sind mehrere kleine Geschichten aufgetaucht gerade.
This hospital seems
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Ah, das ist dieser Fiddick, um den es die ganze Zeit ging. Okay.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Okay, das habe ich auch schon rausgefunden. Ärzte, mehr von sich. Warum ist das noch so hell? Okay, muss aufpassen, dass ich nicht das persönlich alles nochmal frage. Weshalb die Schuldgefühle wegen ihrer Verletzung?
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Oh, haben sie sich mutwillig verletzt?
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick, unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen.
Okay.
As for me.
Eins nach dem anderen, ja. Jetzt geht's wieder um die 2 Ärzte hier.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Da kommt immer das mit den persönlichen Dingen. Hinweis, Hinweis, Hinweis.
Tell me more.
Harvey Fiddick.
What is it you...
Fair question.
Nein, nicht. Leben in London, das bringt mir doch auch nichts, ja. Aykroyd's Evering ist gegen moderne Methoden, ja, das habe ich mitbekommen.
What do you think of Dr. Aykroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Aykroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Aykroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Ja, das mit ihr Leben in London ist jetzt vorbei. Hier habe ich keinen Hinweis.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Und jetzt brauche ich den Kollege. Oder irgendwo etwas Schriftliches, was hier rumliegt. Ach, der ist ja auch hier. Mein Gott, ey.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Das ist mir egal. Hab ich schon.
Tell me, Waverley.
Strickland.
Are you think...
Harvey.
Alles, was so blass ist, habe ich doch schon. Hinweis benötigt. Militär und alles, bla bla bla.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Ja, wir unterhalten uns
I
später.
will not let you down, my boy.
Yes, Doctor?
Ich denke, er ist einfach nur verzweifelt.
That's all for now, Nurse Crane. Thank you.
Weil Verzweiflung macht manche Menschen auch aggressiv.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Das ist auch wieder eine andere Geschichte. Und es lässt mich nicht finden, was ich suche. Okay, okay.
Don't waste your time with me.
Nein, nein.
Good evening.
So geht es nicht.
Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest then.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Oh, die Schwester. Sie hat Geld ein Bett abgenommen.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Geld für ein Bett. Das ist wieder mal eine reiche Kundin hier im Krankenhaus.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Okay. Der letzte Hinweis fehlt mir auf der Seite noch. Und hier fehlt mir auch noch einer.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Okay, Mrs. Goswick, ich werde mich darum kümmern. Ich werde mal schauen.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
So. Ich war noch nicht durch. Über ihre Einweisung ins Krankenhaus.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
How painful is your throat?
So painful overall.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir.
Ja, seine Mutter stört ihn. Aus Gründen, aus welchen auch immer.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Ja, Hinweis von sich. Hinweis benötigt. Wenn es hier keine Hinweise gibt, dann kann ich momentan
Goodbye,
nichts
Mrs. Goswick.
tun für den jungen Mann hier.
I'm all
Yes, Doctor?
Don't waste your time with me.
Ja,
That's all for now, Nurse Crane. Thank you.
die Hinweise sind wahrscheinlich wo ganz anders. zu
Nice,
finden.
sweet girl.
Ja, bei dem bestimmt nicht.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Ja, schön, aber Hinweis. Ich habe noch viel zu wenig.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Ja, vielleicht sollte ich auch mal hier nachschauen. Ich habe ja so viele Dinge gefunden. Details. Ihr seht schon, das ist Fokus Fokus oder Fokus. Was steht hier? Fehlende Inhaltsstoffe. Begib dich zur Apotheke. Apotheke. Begib dich zur Apotheke. Wie weit ist die weg? 225 Meter. Ist das eine Haupt? Nein, das ist keine Hauptaufgabe. Das ist eine... Nein, ich rede jetzt nicht. Okay.
It's locked, all right.
It's locked, alright. Aber ich kam doch trotzdem irgendwo hier rüber. Wo ist die Brücke?
We've dodged death so many times.
Meter zu der Apotheke gehe ich noch. Ist mir jetzt egal, dass das jetzt ein bisschen länger dauert. Ihr versteht es hoffentlich.
I cannot enter.
Ach, die suchen mich ja alle. Ha, toll. Oh, das Auto sah schlecht aus jetzt. Oh Mann. Ich wollte doch niemanden töten. Also keine Menschen, oder? Ja, muss ich ja. Apotheke. Jetzt konzentriere dich auf die Apotheke. Stimmt hier durch. Jawohl. Ich kriege vielleicht jetzt auch mal das für die Hauptmission wieder zusammen. Dieses, Apotheke muss hier drüben sein. Ja. Meter. Dazu muss ich hier irgendwo auch reinkommen. sind es noch schon wieder 50 Meter. Das 36 Meter. Klingt nicht gut.
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
Oh, habe ich da jetzt schon was gefunden? Opium, irgendwas mit Strickland. Wo ist denn jetzt der Kopf? Wo ist denn jetzt die Apotheke? Hier? Krankenhaus. Ach, ich muss zurück jetzt. Ah, das war jetzt mit... Ach, mit dem Strickland, mit dem Arzt. Dem Arzt und der Behandlung. Ja. Coole Sache, oder? Okay. Bin ich jetzt schon da? Halt. Ah ja, was Glänzendes. Das dauert wieder. Das klingt wieder mal nicht gut. Folgen mich gleich wieder ein. Jetzt bin ich wieder da. Ah. Scheint so. Natürlich, wir sind ja die Ärzte. Pembroke. Pembroke. Dreht sich immer so komisch. Ich muss feststellen, man sollte hier auch sehr viel auf die Karte schauen, sonst verläuft man sich so genauso. Eigentlich geht da nicht so rein. Ja, natürlich, wenn ich schon mal, dann laufe ich immer falsch.
It's locked, all right.
Ah nein, ich muss zu den Ärzten. Zu den Zweien, und die waren hier irgendwo. Na, was los? Das geladen, wie das in den Arsch hebt. Oh, echt jetzt?
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Das glaube ich nicht. Und das Hospital haben Sie und bla bla bla. Hinweis, schlechte Erinnerungen. Ach, das habe ich alles schon gehört.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
You always knew the words to calm the children. With you.
Warum redet der nicht?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
Ja, okay.
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
Ja, das ist manchmal eben notwendig. Sie haben meine Unterstützung. Haben wir nicht schon genug zu tun?
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Okay, ich
I
werde...
can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Placebo-Effekt, hier steht einiges, bringen Sie. Habe ich denn dazu, habe ich dann schon einiges? Soll ich das ihm bringen?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you.
Ich habe noch nichts. Ja.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Okay. Muss ich als nächstes rausfinden. Und dazu mache ich erstmal in mein Domizil hier hinten. Ja. Aber ich muss erstmal schauen, ob ich das jetzt zusammen habe. Nein, noch nicht. Ich habe es nicht zusammen. Aber wer es verfolgt hat, hier, es ist ziemlich viel kleine Geschichten. So ist das Spiel nun mal. Und es gibt aber auch ja, Rollenspiel halt. Viel Gerede und Gesuche, aber das macht nichts. Auf jeden Fall erstmal diese Dinge finden. Und ja, ansonsten befasse ich mich mit einer anderen Nebenmission erstmal. Das werde ich sehen das nächste Mal, bevor ich dann mit der Hauptmission weitermache. Und ja, bis dahin, wer bis hierher dabei war, wie immer vielen Dank fürs Zusehen und Zuhören. Bis zum nächsten Mal hier bei Vampyr. Ich bin weg. Tschüss.